Hello everybody, so this is going to be a completely unscripted video, and I haven't done a video in quite some time because of lockdown, and I was quite busy during lockdown. I was doing quite a lot of artwork, and now I've got a bit of free time. I'm about to move house, and in that time I decided to do some artwork, and it's been a great little break doing this artwork, and I actually hope to do a lot more of this kind of stuff in the future because I really enjoy it. And this is what I've created: a 13th century knight and his retinue. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the arms and armor and the development of this painting and how I've painted it. So yeah, let's get started. Let's get my pen out. So I'll just zoom in, and the knight himself is based off an effigy from an effigy in the church of Ashenden, which is in the Aylesbury Vale area in Buckinghamshire in England. So this is an English knight, and the knight himself would have been from the Stafford family. You can see from the colours that he's wearing and his crest. So I've learnt quite a bit on this painting, mainly painting male armour. Now, male armour would, it's all for all artists. I'll put a few illustrations popping up. I've done this before, talking about male armor, but it's really hard to get a realistic interpretation of male armor. There's very different ways of going about it, and I was looking back at a previous art that I did, art piece of I think it was a very early 14th century knight. I'll put it up, but I was comparing the male coif that I did to this Stafford Knight to the other one that I did back way back in the year, and it was quite nice to see a big improvement of that, the way that I have illustrated the male coif, and the male itself. You can, if I just get my pen out, I'll demonstrate what I've done, what some people usually do. So you'll have like a dark backing, and then almost a case of doing this, lots of lines, circles, semicircles, and just repeat again. I mean, this was done in carvings, in effigies and stuff like that. I mean, sometimes you do that and then you go the other way and then repeat again, which if you're doing a piece that's from a distance, that could work. However, male armor close up, so if I zoom in here, you can see here I've tried to go through every single ring and the kind of weave pattern that it creates, because male armor creates a certain weave pattern, and then it wrinkles and stuff like that. It's like a mesh, and it's so complicated to actually illustrate perfectly, especially when it's on the human body, and it kind of, hang on a minute, it curves round the body, so you got to kind of communicate that across. I mean that strap kind of tells that it's going that way, and the lighting is also illustrating that, but you also need to do it on a basis of the weave pattern. So yeah, the way that I have illustrated it, I've tried to do it a bit more realistic. I've used like a lot of reference on how the pattern, because it's a 1x4 pattern, so it is, you've got one ring here, then you've got another ring here, and then another ring here, like that, and then it repeats. like that if it's completely stretched, but on a 3D perspective, you know, it is chain linked and then attached again like that, and you get a different kind of look to it. It's almost like what I've done here, a bit larger than semicircular, attaching to each other, and a layer like that again underneath with a little bit of a gap, and then attached again with so you almost get the C shape within each other, so that kind of linked look. And then you've got to do that so it's tailored around the body. However, in this case here, I have just done the lines. You can see that here as well. It's a little bit different on his coif, because I've tried to make it go around the body, so the semicircles kind of change direction as they go around the head. In this case here, because it's a little bit more up close, I wanted to actually illustrate the layers of mail, so the different weaves, so you get these different little semicircular patterns. So yeah, that's a little bit on the mail. It was a very complicated thing to do, and it was a little bit of a breakthrough for me, to be honest, in terms of how to illustrate mail armor effectively. So the knight himself, he's wearing mail pretty much all over. The mittens are actually attached to the haubergeon or hauberk. I think it's hauberk, because haubergeon is actually shorter than hauberk. The mail goes all the way down to the kind of like thigh, upper knee, and underneath that he'd have a gambeson coat. He'd have a mail cap, a kind of padded cap underneath this. He could have had a Chevalier, but that might have been a little larger. Chevaliers were quite tight-fitting anyway, and Chevalier is basically a secret helm that goes underneath the mail coif. Sometimes they were over the top of the mail coif. And then I've changed the weave pattern of the mail going around the chin, and it's tailored to fit under the chin. It's a little bit different in this case with this guy. The mail has a kind of a flap that goes around the chin and is attached to a leather thong here, and then he ties up the buckle or the strap that goes around the helmet. I've also had him, his soldier or retinue, to have a thong that goes around the neck, because that's sometimes depicted in artwork, as well as on the wrists, just to stop the armor from moving around. It's almost always the case when it comes to the knees. They're pretty much always depicted in the effigy. It's depicted, it's very evident. I'll put a picture up for that, just to remind myself of the strap that goes around the knee, because that was a very common thing in the 13th century. And over the top, the knight has his surcoat. So yeah, and his helmet. So the effigy itself, the helmet, there was no depiction of a helmet. It was just a mail coif. However, he would have had a great helm, and I've depicted a early version of a great helm with a little bit of fleur-de-lis pattern on there. So yeah. By the way, I did want to say that I had a lot of help from a guy called Pavel Aleksishik. I've probably pronounced his name wrong. I'm really sorry, but call him Pavel or Pavel, and he's been an absolute great help in getting all the armor correct and historically accurate to the date. And the date is I've decided to go for the 1220s to the 1230s, that kind of period, mid-early 13th century, and that seems to be what the armor is based on. The effigy might have been made a little later than that, you know, perhaps in the 12th. He may have lived to the 1240s, or he may have died in the 1240s, and the effigy was made a little later than that. That's usually what the case is. Effigies tend to be commissioned and made after the guy has died or the knight has died. Anyway, going back to the armor and the illustration itself. So I wanted to depict him with his horse, and I've used a lot of reference that Pavel has actually given to me, and getting the saddle correct, like the shape of the saddle and the little the way that it you know protrudes outwards, that kind of this kind of shape and this kind of shape, they're both the same shape. And the coat that goes over the saddle, and then the cinch traps which goes underneath, they seem to be depicted like that. I was pointed out that in this case the cinch traps might be a little too farther back. However, this is how it's depicted in the illustrations. They might be correct, might be not. And then the stirrup is face forward from that, and I have based this particular stirrup on the Morgan Bible. The reins always seem to have this ring, and wherever I'm not sure what it was used for. Maybe it was the leather couldn't be long enough for the reins to be, so it's just attached together with this kind of like a rivet and a ring, and maybe that ring was used to tie up something or attach to something. I'm not too sure, to be honest. And I've also had the horse covered in this coat, which is called a caparison. Comparisons were usually two-piece, so you had this front section and then the back section, which the knight is in front of. You can see it, the other half, which is underneath the horse here. And they're tied up at the front of this front section with these thongs, and then it's opened to allow for the horse to actually move and gallop. Usually in the Morgan Bible or any other kind of 13th century depictions of horses and knights, you can actually see a strap which goes around the horse underneath the caparison, because obviously when you're galloping, it exposes the front of the horse. So moving along to this guy on the left, he's got like a nasal helm of the period. You can see that he's got his gambeson with his shorter sleeved hauberk, and then the lance that he's attaching the pennant flag on the lance. The lance is actually going off the picture, so it would be a lot longer than it is depicted on the picture. You know, go way back. You know, lances were quite long. You know, about 3 meters. You kind of need that to get that decent amount of reach. And he's got like a 13th century style dagger that's the leather scabbard or sheath has been kind of etched into or stamped or played around with just for a bit of fun. There's a lot of depictions and evidence that from, you know, all the way through the Middle Ages that the soldiers themselves probably played around with their sheaths and just maybe did a bit of artwork and scrapped around with them. So yeah, did that. And then he's got exposed legs, because I kind of put him as a helping out. he's just a regular soldier or part of the retinue. A professional soldier, because he's got a Mel Hallberg and a proper nasal helm, with a gambeson. So he'd be a professional soldier, but not exactly knight level. So yeah, and then the background itself is kind of like an autumnal piece to match the colours of the Stafford Knight. Nobody's going to really see into that, but I thought I like autumnal colours, and right now it is autumn. So the leaves and that are turning colour. The tents in the background, the tents in the pavilions and stuff like that would have been quite, I wouldn't say full on bright. The upper class people would have had silk tents and stuff like that, and really quite brightly coloured. At the top of the finial up here is made of brass with a cross on top. This could have been the knight's tent, possibly, and all the other tents are different colours, and the finials are these round balls, which seems to be a reoccurring theme in a lot of artwork from the day. So yeah. Oh, also the soldiers in the background, they're wearing kettle hats from the period, and this guy's wearing a gambeson. I mean, I'm really going into the details here, but I wanted to depict a couple of people with kettle hats, which is a common type of helmet from the day. The swords would have been rather long, almost half the height of man, that Pavel told me, and I've depicted them both for the knight and the soldier with a 13th century style scabbard and swords. Yes, and at the bottom here, the chausses would have been, these are not fully enclosed, they would have been weaved shut with this leather thong, almost like a spiral, and would have been tied quite tightly around the leg, for ease of comfort, of course. Otherwise they'd be sagging and wouldn't really serve a great deal of purpose. So yeah, that's the image. I'll take away all the stuff that I've done over the top, and show some up close shots. And yeah, I just wanted to kind of review what I have done. I have literally just posted this on the 13th century armor group, so they'll be chatting away. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this art piece. I'll shut up now and let you get on with your day, and I'll see you hopefully with another video soon. I want to review my my new arming sword, so that'll be in the future. So yeah, right, have a good day, and I shall catch you on the next one. Bye bye.